What's up? I felt like we've done this before. What's up? Welcome to the Cones on IMC. Axl Cones. Tonight we've got a lot to cover as usual. Got a great guest, Brandon Krisztal from 104.3 The Fan is here to talk about ESPN and anything he wants to talk about. But like we do every week, Beautiful Distractions sent me out another hot girl to talk to. So the new Cones own girl this week, would you help me welcome Axl Cones? Wow, how are you?
Fine, what about you?
I am fantabulistic.
Oh, good. That's great.
So we were talking before the show started. You're from
Albania.
Albania.
Mm-hmm. Very little country, hot country, and very beautiful.
How long have you been in the States?
2 years and a half. Yes.
2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Is Colorado the only place you've been?
No, I've been in Las Vegas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, but Colorado. I love Colorado.
You like? Is Colorado your favorite?
Mm-hmm, my favorite.
How'd you like Vegas?
It was cool. It was fun.
I bet you got a lot of attention.
Oh yeah, actually, it was great.
Well, very cool. How long have you been with the modeling agency?
2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Very cool.
Yeah, I stopped for a year because I got married and I had a baby.
Oh, congrats. You had a baby?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, thank you.
Holy cow.
Oh, that's great.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, she's a year old now and I love her. Oh my God.
Very cool. What's her name?
Her name? Emily.
Hi, Emily. Give a shout out to Emily.
I love you.
Well, very cool. So you're married as well. What does your husband do?
Do I have to say it?
No.
Okay, I'm not going to say it. He's a police officer.
Oh, well, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm pro-cop on this show all the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
The scumbags they got to deal with, you kidding me?
Yeah, that's true.
They're lucky I'm not a cop. I go through taser guns like Tic Tacs.
It's weird. I hate guns. I don't like it.
No?
That's not. They're not for me.
They're not for you?
So I have my husband to protect me. So I
well, there you go.
Right?
That's all you need, right?
That's good.
Well, good deal. So when was the last photo shoot you did with Jay Anthony?
2-3 weeks ago, something like that, and yeah, I loved it.
Well, good
deal. He
does
a very good job, and
He's
besides the photographer that he is, I mean, he's a great friend.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Jay Anthony calls us out whenever he has get-togethers. We go out and we hang out with all the models and stuff. And
yeah,
it's great.
He does. He's just great.
Very
That's
cool.
True.
Very cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Anything else you want to off the stage already? Anything else you want to talk about before we roll into the monologue?
I don't know what to say. I'm here. Hopefully I'll be somebody one day, and I want to show in. Yeah, right. Everybody wants that, and like to show that I'm Albanian too in my heart, and I love this country too. So I'm Albanian American person.
And you said you speak 4 languages.
Yeah.
What languages do you speak?
So Albanian, English, Italian, and Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Multi-talented.
I love it, and I want to go and study French soon. Hopefully.
Wow.
I love French.
So they speak Albanian where you're from?
They do speak Albanian, that's right.
Very cool. Give us a little something in Albanian, whatever you want to talk, whatever you want to say.
Shumë faleminderit që më ftuat këtu.
You can't top that. Let's get into the monologue for tonight. Give it up. Axl Cones. You want to there you go. And hang up here
That's
with me.
right.
Hang up here with me. Oh, God. A few weeks ago, a momentous occasion happened. I actually had a day off. No work, no promos, no appearances, no interviews. The girlfriend wasn't home and my phone was set to vibrate. So I rolled out of the rack, wiped out the crusties, chopped down the wood, then cruised the internet for a bit. After I got bored reading people's brain dead, eating lunch now, vacuuming, in the shower, BRB, Facebook updates, I decided to watch the boob tube. I forgot how imbecilic daytime television really is. Between the horrific judge shows, game shows where the contestants fell out of the stupid tree and clipped every branch on the way down, and baby daddy trailer park trash talk shows,
Woo!
I was about to say... Exactly. I was about to say screw it and throw in a DVD. Then it hit me. I'll flip over to my reliable backup, ESPN. The worldwide leader in sports was airing the Madden PlayStation finals. Because, you know, that's the first thing I think of when I hear ESPN is watching snot-noses sitting on the couch playing video games. And we're just baffled why the high school dropout rate continues to climb, aren't we? And just up the dial, ESPN2 wasn't any better. I watched two dipshits arguing like an old married couple about who's going to win the Super Bowl. Easy, fellas. Preseason hasn't even started yet. So after watching these two horrific displays, this had me wondering, has ESPN finally gotten too big and has become unwatchable? Forgive me, but I have to throw my 2 cents in here. After my morning of watching two full-grown adults who need to be swatted on their bare ass before being sent to timeout, and some teenage puke winning a stack of Benjamins for doing something that I outgrew at age 12, I decided to follow all of the ESPN networks for a couple of weeks to see if my unwatchable theory was correct. First off, do we really need a 24/7 sports news network like ESPN News? Now, I know we'll always have the NFL player punching a civilian in the strip club parking lot, the NBA gangsta firing off rounds in the IHOP as his moons over my hammy was undercooked, and the steroid addict Major League Baseball player whose junk falls off in the on-deck circle like a leper stepping out of a bathtub. Sure, these are important stories, but can't they be discussed for 5 minutes on SportsCenter and not thrown into a repetitive loop like a Cuckoo for Cocoa Cox DVD in a gay porno theater? As far as ESPN Deportes and their 8 followers, let me just state for the record, the rest of U.S. civilization doesn't give 2 hairs off a rat's ass about soccer, okay? I have 20 Spanish channels. Can't one of them pick up the slack, and I can't read, and take the 30 seconds to inform us of the 0-0 tie between Mexico and Argentina? I want to see ESPN Deportes become culturally correct and travel to some underground bunker in Juarez to broadcast the 2010 cockfighting championships. Or better yet, take the camera crew to Tijuana for the 2-week spring break donkey show fiesta. Trust me, a bestiality skank with donkey semen pouring out of every orifice like a BB-riddled toothpaste tube is still better programmed than the Spanish coverage of the annual Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I remember the day ESPN Classic debuted on television. I envisioned a network that would broadcast classic sports events like Joe Namath's guarantee in Super Bowl III, Super Bowl 32, where John Elway finally got his ring, and the 1980 United States Olympic hockey team punking the hated Russians. But no, what am I stuck with? Some replay of the 1997 Strongest Man competition from some shitbag European country. Yeah, I'd hate to be reminded of feel-good stories like a tearful Ray Bork hoisting the Stanley Cup over his head after 2 disappointing decades in the NHL. And yeah, I'd be ashamed to replay the 2004 New York Yankees-Boston Red Sox playoff series where the Yankees choked harder than a blue hair with a chicken bone lodged in her throat.
Yeah.
Instead, let's poison everyone's television sets with hairy back, car-lifting, toothless Euro drips who could kick my ass at the drop of a loaf of bread. But enough about the strong man's wives. Let's get back to talking about bad television.
Hey, she's Euro.
Yeah, but she's hot, though.
Oh, okay.
I believe ESPN2 is designed for 2 groups of people, degenerate gamblers and fantasy football geeks. Why else would this network scroll scores, trends, injury, and weather reports at the bottom of the screen 24 hours a day? That's the only explanation, because most of their sports entertainment value is as worthless as a Christmas tree air freshener and a porta potty at the People's Fair. ESPN2's programming over the years has included darts championships, 9-ball pool tournaments, PBA bowling, bass fishing, professional dodgeball, dog shows, WNBA, X Games, and to top off this C-list entertainment, the 2004 Scrabble Championships. And while I'm on the subject, I don't know about you, but I often lay awake at night wondering what Trey Wright did with his $25K for winning this televised Scrabble event. I'll take a shot in the dark here and say that Trey blew it on 1-900 phone sex calls, flying Nichelle Nichols out in full Uhura garb for his Star Trek-themed birthday party, and the limited edition number 5 of 5,000 Dungeons & Dragons game on eBay. I actually got to meet Trey Wright. He was working at a Los Angeles, California loaf and jug. As I went in to drain the lizard, T was reenacting his 15 minutes of fame by using the urinal cakes to spell out Zebu on the tiled men's room floor. As if ESPN's programming couldn't sink any lower, this network re-aired the 1997 putt-putt golf tournament where the winner ripped down a cool $5,500. Yeah, nothing says we're scraping TV bottom more than out-of-shape weekend jocks in really bad shorts thinking they're Shooter McGavin. And what does it say about our culture when people will spend hard-earned money to attend a putt-putt golf crowd? These way too much free time losers standing on the gallery jeering the bad boy of putt-putt. But little do they know, he doesn't care. He's playing for 5,500 bones as the Caddyshack theme races through his chunky, doughy, pasty white body. And to show you how competitive he is, he drops a GD bomb when he three-strokes the windmill. There's a TiVo moment if I ever heard of one, huh? And just when I thought I had survived the worst broadcasted debacle in ESPN history, they went ahead and topped themselves yet again. In the summer of 2007, as God is my witness, on my TV set, I actually sat and watched the $50,000 rock, paper, scissors championships. I sat in stunned belief at watching this train wreck. A classic quote came from the USA RPS League co-commissioner Matty Leasham about being televised on ESPN. Quote, "This is a milestone for the sport." Now, I don't want to burst your bubble there, Matty, but when two 8-year-olds do this activity in their kitchen to see who wins the 4-cent temporary tattoos from the Lucky Charms box, it's hardly a sport, okay, dumbass? And come on, ESPN, what's next? The Hopscotch Championships? Or maybe tetherball from around the globe? Oh wait, I got it. The ghetto jump rope finals from Flint, Michigan. Personally, I have my DVD recorder primed for the World Marbles Championships. One ESPN program that annually gets clowned on is the Scripps Howard National Spelling Bee. Now, you see, personally, I'm okay with this program. Besides, I'd rather watch smart kids, as dorky as they may appear, who actually take their education seriously and who will never utter the words, "Do you want to supersize that for 50 cents extra?" Besides, I'll watch preteens who are smarter than me any day over the playground illiterate gangsters on the And One tour. But I'll get to that freak show on another episode. I have a question for all the ESPN aficionados who are watching me right now. Besides reality TV, is there anything more painful to watch than SportsCenter? I remember the good old days when SportsCenter actually gave me the final scores and highlights for that particular day in sports. Now it seems to be nothing but an over-sponsored, catchphrase-seeking amateur comedy hour. Instead of giving me the baseball score rundown for the day, I'm forced to listen to untalented windbags like Stuart Scott running with, "Yo dog, A-Rod's the bomb. He's got his play-a-hater degree on by slamming 54 fat jacks." Excuse me, Stu, but what the fuck are you talking about? Just a quick question to everyone at ESPN. I don't want to sound unhip, but could you please install a Stuart Scott to a Passion of the Christ English subtitle at the bottom of my screen so I don't have to flip through my Ebonics Slang for Dummies book only to find out that Stu just told me that Alex Rodriguez is a good player and should win the MVP award as he hit 54 home runs this season. While I'm in worthless TV slug mode, how the hell does Skip Bayless continue to collect a paycheck? This guy's more worthless than Double D Hooters on Fran Drescher. Skip Bayless's head is emptier than Queen Latifah's fridge after a blizzard. I know Skipper is scripted to be an instigating, confrontational wannabe know-it-all, but shouldn't he be sitting in some dimly lit, smoke-filled neighborhood bar with a house gin and tonic, berating the bartender to put some gin in it next time, and not on national television? Go away, Skip. On a hotter ESPN note, Rachel Nichols, if you're watching, yeah, I'd hammer you like Bob Vila finishing a Bella Wood kitchen floor under HGTV time restraints.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, next time you can stomach an entire episode of SportsCenter, I want you to count how many times the phrase "brought to you by" is uttered. Every segment has a sponsor. Chris Berman winning the Fred Flintstone lookalike contest is brought to you by... Now, I don't want to come across as a total ESPN basher. There are some decent programs on the network, such as Jim Roma's Burning, Pardon the Interruption, Outside the Lines, Around the Horn, and Mike and Mike in the Morning. It's just too bad that Mike and Mike are on vacation more than Ivana Trump. My question is this: how many times can we hear talking suits regurgitate the exact same vanilla opinions on the exact same topics? But to be fair, it's not their fault, as we live in PC world, and we'll never get to hear someone go Charles Barkley and actually speak the truth. Rather than crucifying scumbags like Plexico Burress for, being an asshole, we get the, he just made bad decisions and he hung out with shady characters and he's just misunderstood. Stop with this PC nonsense already. Actually, I'm being told by my director right now that ESPN is coming to me live right now so I could get my long overdue take on this Plexico Burress mess. Thank you, Linda Cohn. And by the way, it's refreshing to see a middle-aged redhead with prepubescent nubbies still find work in this cosmetic world we live in. My take on Plex is this. Simply put, he's a brainless dipshit. You see, Linda, Plexico, as well as many other athletes and celebrities on the planet, realizes that just because they're in the spotlight, they think they can do anything they please without consequence. Well, personally, I hope Plex enjoys his time in the clink, where I hope the phrase, cocking a loaded gun, takes on an entirely new meaning for him. And while I have ESPN on the horn, I have a way for you to increase your ratings. A new original program called Plex in the Pen. It would be like Oz, but a comedy starring an NFL shithead wide receiver. A canned laugh track could be dubbed in every time Plex gets shanked in the yard or pinned down and gang raped in the shower. We could get all dramatic and switch to the black and white shot of Plex as he sits in his bunk with a teardrop rolling off his face as he picks fellow inmate butthole hairs from between his teeth.
That's bad.
Thank you. We can go to the construction site We can go to the construction site cat calls every time he bends over to pick up the soap and his poop chute looks like a ball of raw hamburger being weighed by the deli counter person. Trust me, ESPN, take a chance. It's gold. Back to you in the studio. Let me close this topic by saying, like MTV, Fox Reality, or any program that Sharon Osbourne has ever been in, no matter how shitty the programming, ESPN will always have an audience. There will always be the Mississippi hillbilly who would die if he didn't catch his nightly NASCAR updates, the 10-year-old kid who drops out of school because he wants to be the next gold medal winner at the X Games, and the shut-in computer geek who compulsively masturbates to Aaron Andrews, who's reporting from the NBA Slam Dunk Contest. Some of ESPN's programming is so bad, some sports radio talk show hosts refer to ESPN as the four-letter network. Yeah, I have a four-letter word for this network also, and as our Scrabble buddy Trey Wright will tell us, it's only worth 21 points as a triple word score. This network wouldn't be so painfully bad if it wasn't so painfully obvious that ESPN stands for every sponsor pays now. That's my take, but then again, what the hell do I know? Yeah. Woo! Tonight, we are going to take you out live right now. Actually, what we're going to do is the last couple weeks I've been showing some clips from previous bands that have done the show live in studio. Tonight, we're going out to watch one of the greatest bands who's played on the program, Atlas Hunter. They did an amazing, amazing job, so I'm going to take you out there right now. When we come back, Mr. Brandon Krisztal from 104.3 The Fan will join us. Let's take you out right now. We'll be right back.
Look around, it's not hard to see. Quick to judge before we even meet. Quick to go, I will tell no me. look around. Red on that whiskey. I see the hatred in you. What's gonna set you? I feel the hatred in me, and it won't turn loose. Can't tell right from wrong. We are made of change. Attitude is not. It's ugly. It's something we are made of. We are made of change. Attitude. It's ugly. It's something we are made of. It's something we are made of. Around a mother in the street, only son lies at her feet. Senseless act, it takes another soul, and we could go on. Since I've been cold, I see the hatred in you. What's gonna set you? I feel the hatred in you, and it won't turn loose. Can't get right from wrong. We are made of changing attitude. Stop it, stop it, stop it. We are made of changing attitude. It's something we are gonna do. It's something we are gonna do. It's not hard to see. Coming to before we even meet. Understand the hate is blinding me. Look around, change is what we need. Look around, it's not hard to see. We can do it before we even meet. Understand, the hate is blinding me. Look around, change is what we need. We are made of changing attitude. It starts with me, it starts with you. It's something we all can use. We are made of changing attitude. It starts with me, it starts with you. It's something we all can use. It's something we all can use.
Atlas Hunter, love them. Tonight we are being joined right now by the lead correspondent and producer from 104.3 The Fan FM right here in Denver. My pleasure to have Mr. Brandon Krisztal with us. Give it up. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. You just came back from the All-Star game not too long ago?
Yeah, I was at the MLB All-Star game back in mid-July, and that was the first time I'd been to that. I've been to a couple different, I guess now I've been to just about all except the hockey. So it was cool.
Cool.
It's an interesting event. MLB's pretty lame. Like compared to the Super Bowl is a
sure.
week-long event, and there's so many cool parties and cool people that are there. Even though this was in Anaheim in LA's backyard, it just wasn't that cool. Like everything that MLB does is not cool. And then I go to the NBA All-Star game every year, and that's always a lot of fun with a lot of cool celebs. You know, obviously a lot of people from the world of hip hop. It's just a fun atmosphere. And it's also over a weekend, whereas MLB forces this on you on a Monday or Tuesday. I mean, they could very easily put it on the weekend, have your last series on a Thursday.
Sure.
Everybody flies out Friday. Saturday's a home run derby. Sunday night, you do the game.
Right.
You'll have more viewers probably.
And then the Sunday night, and then the pitchers for Sunday, they don't get a chance. You know, most of the pitchers on Sunday are starters. They're number one guys, and they don't get a chance to.
And that would probably be, that problem wouldn't change because the rotation is what it is. But just it would be more fun. I mean, more people can get to events on the weekend. They could make it a bigger deal. But MLB is so lame that they just can't do anything cool.
I remember when the Major League Baseball. He's absolutely right.
Yeah,
I see people snickering in the back. He's absolutely right. I remember when the baseball when they were here in Denver, it was the same thing. It was like, really, they're making a big deal of this? What is this? It's nothing to be.
Yeah, it's neat. And I went to, when I was a kid, I grew up in Dallas.
You're a Cowboy fan?
I am a Cowboys fan.
Oh, that's what I
There
like
you
to
go.
hear.
I cover the Broncos for a living, and I always tell the guys, it would be great if you guys played in the Super Bowl and lost to the Cowboys. I'm like, they'll get covered all the way through, and then my team would win, and I'd feel sorry for you, but I wouldn't feel that sorry. So, but I went to the All-Star workout and Home Run Derby when I was, I guess it was in Dallas in like '94, so I was just in high school still. The coolest thing I saw, and it was so crazy because of who it was, Barry Bonds it was 150 degrees in Dallas that day. Barry Bonds was signing baseballs, having all the All-Stars in the outfield during the batting practice sign it, so like 10 guys would sign it, and then tossing it up as high as he could into the triple deck, or the third deck.
Wow.
And he must have did it like a half dozen times to various parts of, wasn't to the same person. And that was well before we knew Barry Bonds was as big a jerk as he is.
I was going to say that was pre-steroid.
Barry
Bonds.
Who knows what he was doing then, but to see him do that and to see what has become of Barry Bonds in the last 15 years since that's happened. Not really. He's done it to himself. So like you did your monologue. You mentioned Plaxico Burress. To me, that's more sad than what Barry Bonds has done, because everything he's done, he could make choices over and over, and he continued to repeat them.
Sure.
Somebody like Plaxico Burress makes one mistake twice. It's sort of like the Michael Vick thing. There was a conscious thought process that went into the ring that he ran, to whatever capacity he ran it in and participated in the dogfighting. But you did your whole monologue ripping ESPN, and my perspective is a little different because, one, I've wanted to work there my whole life, and I've been fortunate enough over the last couple of years to do a lot of stuff for them.
Absolutely.
Still not getting a paycheck from them, but if they want to start giving me some money, I'll take it. But I'm happy to have the opportunity, and it's fun to be able to go on ESPN, on SportsCenter, on these shows, and be able to talk about the Broncos or the Rockies or the Nuggets. And so I think ESPN's biggest problem is that they're probably trying to cover too many things at once. Their reach is sort of an inch deep and a mile wide. And you get that in SportsCenter a lot, where you probably want a little bit more game highlights, but they're always looking forward. So especially with NFL season, they're previewing the weekend. So Monday, Tuesday, I guess Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they're previewing what's going on Sunday and Monday. And so you look at what ESPN when they started, and obviously they've grown to just this huge monster and being part of Walt Disney, but they're Disney's most profitable arm for sure. They start out, I know you've got your acronym for it, but ESPN is Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. And they've done some really great entertainment things. You look at that 30 for 30 series that they're doing, and it's been incredible. And some of the other movies that they've done, they haven't all been home runs, and they probably aren't to the caliber, the level that HBO Sports is with what they do. I mean, it seems like everything they make is awesome, and you're almost bummed when it's over. When you watch, like I remember watching just recently the one about the Curse of the Bambino, after they had done the one on the Curse of the Bambino so many years ago. And Magic versus Larry Bird, and just so many great ones that HBO does. And so I don't think ESPN, maybe because of budgetary constraints, or I don't say constraints, but just sort of their focus, they don't get to do as many cool ones year in, year out as HBO does. They put out a handful a year. Plus they do the real sports pieces, which are great. But ESPN, I like having ESPN News. I like SportsCenter and sort of what it is now. It repeats itself a lot. And ESPN News by design repeats itself, and then they'll fix things and change things.
Right.
But it's nice to have that option, and to kind of bottom line it for you, which is the same thing you say in the radio business. If you don't like it, change the channel.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
so they're giving you a million options. The ESPN Deportes, who I know you were kind of poking fun at, their numbers continue to grow because of the amount of Hispanic sports fans that are in America, not just soccer, but huge fans of the NFL. If I could ever afford Rosetta Stone, I'd perfect my Spanish. My dad's from Argentina, but I don't know Spanish great. And I'd cover the NFL for ESPN Deportes because that's a huge growing market, not just for Cowboys fans, but I mean, we know how many Spanish speakers there are here in Denver, and obviously on the West Coast and up and down the East Coast. And so ESPN is continuing to try to, I guess, maybe be a slave to too many masters is probably their problem. And the biggest example or the biggest controversy all summer was the decision that LeBron James decision.
I was so sick of hearing about that.
And you're like, okay, it's at the Boys and Girls Club, but it's in Greenwich, Connecticut, where most people didn't even know how to go. Boys and Girls Club, literally the richest town in America. I remember one time I was living in New York City. I took there were Powerballs like 350 million, and you couldn't get it in New York. I took a train with some friends up to Greenwich, like 40-minute train ride. You get off the train station, mind you, for your commuter rail. Rolls-Royce dealership, Ferrari dealership, on the way to the closest convenience store that was nicer than most 7-Elevens you'll find, that's for sure.
Sure.
But so he's doing this deal, and he picked the advertisers, raised $2.5 million. It all went to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in Akron, and I guess the one in Greenwich, but I can't believe that they have a lot of kids participating in those programs. But even in towns like that, I'm sure there's kids that need it. But so they do this basically hour-long infomercial that LeBron's advertiser that he's in bed with, Vitamin Water and Nike, pay for. The money goes to a good cause. It's the second highest rated show of the year. 13 million viewers.
Wasn't it one of the highest rated ESPN programmings of all time?
I mean, that's the funny thing since ESPN, and I kind of jump around, since they've got Monday Night Football, every year Monday Night Football continues to be the highest rated cable TV show of all time. Now, it's not The Sopranos, so you're not going to get a concentrated audience. It's everybody watches Monday Night Football, and now it's on cable, so it's the #1 cable show. But this was their second highest rated program of the year behind Monday Night Football. And it was kind of a joke, and he paid Jim Gray, and I know Jim Gray's a Denver guy, and he's always a great Tuskegee fan.
He's from Colorado.
Part of Westwood One, and so we have him on our air all the time. I feel kind of bad that he accepted the paycheck, but he was the guy in the middle of it, and he's been in the middle of so many other big moments in sports.
Remember the Pete Rose interview he did at the All-Star game a few years ago?
Stuff like that. So it's like, I don't really fault him. At the end of the day, we've all got bills to pay, and that put him... I don't know his reasonings, and I haven't talked to him about it. We actually had him on the air right before he did it, why he chose to do it. And when I see him at the Super Bowl, I'll ask him, or when he comes in town for Westwood One. But so you look at they did that, and just kind of how disastrous it was, mainly for LeBron, and secondly for ESPN. But LeBron gets booed at the ESPYs. He actually wasn't at the ESPYs, but his name gets booed. They basically turned the Miami Heat into the New York Yankees, which, for better or worse, is probably good for basketball. There's still the people that are going to think they're cool, just like people think the Yankees are cool. But there's going to be everybody else is really going to hate them. So I'm sure they'll have their me against the world attitude, which is fine.
Right.
I still think the Lakers are better than them.
The Lakers
absolutely. Are continuing to get better, and the Lakers match up really well.
I think the Celtics are better than them.
I don't know. I don't know if I like those matchups as well because of where Paul Pierce and Ray Allen are in age, but and Kevin Garnett over the last year. And Garnett and Chris Bosh, I feel like would cancel each other out. But every time the Heat go somewhere, you're going to have the handful of, I don't want to say bandwagon jumpers, but fans that think it's cool. Everybody by nature is going to become a bandwagon jumper because they weren't Heat fans before.
Sure.
But if you ride with this team and that's your team and you think they're cool, great. And you buy LeBron shoes and D-Wade shoes. But the whole kind of, the whole process, the decision was so ridiculous. But then right after that, right before camps open, ESPN does the whole Make-A-Wish, My Wish thing, which every time, and I've now watched them for years, they put them on every year. And the Make-A-Wish Foundation is great, and they do this stuff with kids with terminal illnesses or really, obviously, horrible diseases. That it brings a tear to my eye every time, and I know the story is going to happen. The kid's going to be sick. He's going to have a happy moment with whoever his hero is, whether it's LaDainian Tomlinson or Pujols or a NASCAR driver.
Right.
And so you're like, okay, so the same entity that can give you the decision, and you ask yourself, what type of journalism is that, or is it entertainment? They give you this Make-A-Wish thing, which isn't journalism either.
Right.
Let's be honest. It's following a kid who's sick to the Jets training facility, and he gets all this free stuff that is a time of a life, the once-in-a-lifetime experience. but the kid may not be around to even have a chance to. Can't play sports with his friend or whatever.
Right.
So they give you both of these things, and so I think ESPN and Don Ohlmeyer, who's their ombudsman, longtime TV producer, done Monday Night Football for years and years, and ran ABC Sports and NBC Sports, is now the ombudsman. So he is the voice of the fan. He talked to people on both sides of the decision thing. People that sell everything, those sponsorships that annoy you before every single SportsCenter second, brought to you by Smirnoff and this and that, and Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. And
Exactly.
look, they're paying their bills, but I live in a world where you have to pay your bills somehow, right?
Sure.
And you're not selling drugs, you're not killing anyone. If Coors Light wants to give me money to go talk about the Broncos and say, hey, this is the Broncos report brought to you by Coors Light, I'm not going to turn down. I'm not going to take their money. I'm not going to turn, assuming it's a product that I want to be associated with. And ESPN, it's the same thing. So yeah, it's unfortunate that they're having to buy your time with their. But let's be honest, nobody watches commercials anyway. And I know, our radio advertisers and TV advertisers don't want to hear that, but there's studies that show the second commercials come on, you flip and you come back 2.5 or 3 minutes later, whether it's Grey's Anatomy or ESPN or something on the Learning Channel or Top Chef on Bravo. So people don't watch commercials. So you got to figure out other ways to get it into the advertising get the advertising into the program. But I think where ESPN is flawed is that so you have the advertisers, the people that generate advertising that pay everyone's bills, and then the journalists who have to go out and cover things and break stories. And now ESPN is getting in bed with so many people in that world of money generation, like LeBron's people, that it's just kind of muddying the water. So Chris Broussard is there. He's breaking the story. He's had the story for 2 weeks, but then he's having to say, I don't really know, when he probably does know, because they're having to make the show more suspenseful.
Sure.
It's unfair to Chris Broussard, who's done all this reporting for 2 weeks, had the story, whether he or Stephen A. Smith had it first, but they confirm it. They talk to whoever the right people are, whether it's Maverick Carter, LeBron's best friend, or this guy, World Wide West. And so when ESPN breaks a story, and this is why I talk about breaking news off air. I don't really talk about it on air, but breaking news doesn't matter. Once the news is out, it's out. Rather, who brings you the breaking news doesn't matter, and how you get it.
Right.
Chris Bosh puts on Twitter, I'm going to Miami, or Kevin Durant is the perfect example. Hey, I just signed an extension, 5 years, $80 million. Well, yeah, the guy that covers the Oklahoma City Thunder for the Daily Oklahoman is probably pissed off that Kevin Durant did his job better than him. But look, if you don't have a good enough relationship with Kevin Durant or his agent or the coach or the GM, well, it doesn't matter. But then write a column about why this is good for Oklahoma City. Do you know who broke the Jay Cutler trade?
No.
The Denver Broncos did. We on The Fan were talking about everybody had them going to D.C. Channel 4 had him going to the Redskins. We heard he was going to the Redskins. They had him in Washington. They're right, he's going to the Redskins. So our show started at 3 o'clock. Was afternoon show then was Irvin Joe and Jim Armstrong. I get a call from the Broncos PR, hey, Brandon, check your email. And I didn't have my email up, and my phone was on the table, so I didn't hear it vibrate, and I had ESPN on the screen or whatever. So I check it, and like 4 or 5 minutes earlier, they sent out, the Broncos have agreed in principle to trade Jay Cutler. Okay, to the Bears. Not the Redskins. He's like, Brandon, you see that? He's going to the Bears. We'll get you the details when we know the details. So bam, tell my guys, come on air. Hey, just got this from the Broncos. They released it. Jay Cutler's going to the Bears. Well, the Broncos broke it. Okay.
Right.
Channel 4 can take credit. ESPN can take credit. Anybody can take credit. But nobody really cares.
Right.
From the second that happened at 3:18 on that, I want to say it was a Thursday. From the second that happened on that day till we went off the air that night and went into national programming overnight, we talked about nothing but Jay Cutler. So we gave you 10 hours of coverage. At ESPN, they break the story. They talked about LeBron. Then once the story was out, that is almost more interesting. Okay, LeBron told you it was this joke of a show. It cost $2.5 million or whatever. The money went to charity. He broke the news. Or ESPN paid for the news that they had already broken, that Stephen A. Smith also had reported on his radio show on Fox Sports. And then it was afterwards. How are they going to build this team? How's the money going to work? That's the part that interests me. So when ESPN gives you breaking news, or whoever, Fox Sports or you or me, say you run into Elvis Dumervil at the deli, and he says, hey, I've got a broken ankle. I'm not playing the rest of the year. Okay, well, you might do something with that. You might put it on Twitter. You might email somebody you know. You might put it on Facebook, and the story becomes viral, or Elvis might put it out himself. And obviously, this is just a hypothetical. But nobody cares who breaks the news, and I think that's where ESPN falls into, or any news entity, is how important is it to you to break the news? Newspapers take the most pride in it because that's what they were founded on.
Right.
But newspapers are dying. Nobody's reading the newspaper.
Nobody
You know why?
cares.
Because Denver Post might have it, but if ESPN has it first, or Pro Football Talk has it first, or MLB.com puts it on their own website, well, I'm going to go there to find it. And if I'm on the Denver Post or they send out an alert, great. I'll then go read the story on denverpost.com. But so ESPN, I think, isn't, they want to give you the information and they want to present it in an entertaining way and they want you to be informed. That's why they call somebody like me to talk about the Broncos for 2 minutes on SportsCenter. I mean, I'm on the phone, they throw my picture up. I'm not sitting in a TV studio. I'm not doing 8 minutes on every team in the league, but I'm giving you 2-3 minutes, 3 or 4 answers about what's going on with Josh McDaniels, what's going on with Tim Tebow since he's gotten here. And so they're trying to cover all these things. And as a sports fan, I appreciate it. Sometimes it's just not executed well, but I like knowing that that's there. And then you talk about your secondary sports, if we want to shift to, I don't think these aren't even really sports, hot dog eating, cup stacking, which is awesome to watch. You watch these 11-year-old kids do this cup stacking deal, and I'm like, that's totally crazy. Not NASCAR, Your Strongest Man. It's all kind of, I don't say joke programming, but definitely niche programming, billiards, darts. But the point is, there's not a million games that you can play all times of the night. It's giving you an option of something to watch. And if you don't like it, go to ESPN News where they're keeping you up to date with all your baseball scores and highlights. And so, and the one other part about ESPN is that they're also not just a slave to the advertisers, they're a slave to their contracts with these leagues. And that's really where it becomes an issue. When they send out any kind of memo that says, hey, don't talk about Michael Vick and the Ron Mexico thing. Don't talk about Big Ben and the rape allegations in Lake Tahoe 2 summers ago, you know.
Right.
Then you say, okay, what are you doing to your audience? Is that fair?
Right.
And who are you serving at that point? Because you're not serving your viewers, listeners, whether it be TV or radio or readers. You're serving yourselves. And it's self-preservation. And so I guess it's just more unfortunate than anything else. That's why there's a story that came out from SEC Media Days where Nick Saban called agents pimps. And I guarantee you Alabama sat on ESPN or called up ESPN because it wasn't on the website, it was on SportsCenter, and then the only place that we could find the audio, because we wanted to use it on the radio.
Right.
AP, the Associated Press, which is an independent agency, had it on their YouTube page. That was the only place we could find it. Couldn't find it anywhere in Alabama, couldn't find it on the SEC. Now, it was obviously written about plenty because newspapers wrote about it, but they didn't have it in the first place because it wasn't their property unless they had a video camera there. So it wasn't hardly anywhere, and especially wasn't anywhere that Alabama and the SEC and the BCS could have influence over because of these contracts.
Right. So they shoved it under the rug. So,
yeah.
Well, like I said, they're controlled by Disney, though. So I mean.
Right. They're controlled by Disney. Fox is controlled by Rupert Murdoch's company. CBS is controlled by Viacom. I mean. Do
you think it goes higher than Disney, though? Do you think there's somebody pulling the strings for Disney, saying,
no,
we don't want you to talk about this because it's so and so?
And I don't think it even goes higher than ESPN. I don't think it even gets to Disney execs, which used to be Michael Eisner, and I'm not even sure who it is now. Excuse me real quick. But I think that there's people at the top, and I don't even think it gets all the way to George Bodenheimer, who's the guy at the top.
Right.
But there's a handful of execs, whether they be advertising related, and I don't know these people's names because I don't deal with them. If I get to know their names and they meet me, it means they're probably giving me some money and I work for them. So that'll be a nice introduction.
It's a bonus for you.
That'll be a nice introduction. But so I don't know who's pulling the strings, and ESPN will have philosophical shifts. I mean, when they started doing all that movie stuff, the Bobby Knight movie, the Dale Earnhardt movie, well, that was because they wanted to get back to that entertainment part. But then they've kind of gone away from that. Then they just brought you the 30 for 30. Those were all independent filmmakers that made them, and ESPN helped distribute them and gave them whatever the money was. I'm sure they varied depending on the documentary and the cost and whatever. And so I just think that's maybe the biggest issue with ESPN is that they have such a huge identity crisis that the viewers suffer only in that you don't know what ESPN's agenda is, but it's not that you're not going to get the information. I mean, we knew where LeBron was going, and we knew it when he felt like telling us. He could have put it out on Twitter that morning, and then ESPN would have just reacted to it. So I guess, you know, I don't know if that's going to solve your issues with them, and I'm not trying to solve any issues. And I understand, look, it's sort of like MTV. Why don't they play music videos? And thanks to us being in Denver, their music videos come on from 1 to 4 our times. Like when I go to bed around 1 o'clock at night, at least I get to watch 3 hours of music videos.
Right.
But that's it. So if you want to see the new video, you're not going to see it. You're going to watch the Jersey Shore or the Hills or whatever. And the Jersey Shore, it's
Not if my
It's
balls
kind of
were on fire.
guilty pleasure, for a lot of people. But
Excuse me, what?
Not if my balls were on fire.
I remember MTV came out in the early 80s, and I was just a kid, but I had older cousins, and we had cable, and I'd be at their house, and I remember just loving music. I remember being in 4th, 5th grade when, Appetite for Destruction came out, and seeing those videos and Pour Some Sugar on Me. And like when I see a video, it's because somebody else has sent it to me on YouTube, or it's appeared on a different show.
Right.
Or, and you've seen a clip of that, and you're like, oh, I want to see this video. Spike Jonze directed a new Dave Matthews video. Okay, I'll see that, but I'm not going to see it watching MTV because. Yeah. And so I think it's sort of the same thing with ESPN, is that you don't know what their agenda is, but at the end of the day, just like anybody else, not anybody, but everybody that doesn't work in nonprofit social work, the rest of America, we want to make our money, and that's probably the bottom line for it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I got a couple of points. I'll say this right here to you: LeBron James will not win a championship in Miami.
I'll take that bet.
Really?
Yeah, you want me?
And I'll go as far as this too. Carmelo Anthony won't win a championship here either.
That's a much safer bet. That's a bet I'm not going to take because I'm not sure how long Melo's going to be around for. And I don't know how long LeBron will be in Miami. They might win 4 championships, and Jay-Z may talk him into coming to New Jersey and trying it there. And I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron James at the end of his career ends up back in Cleveland, sort of
just to retire, kind of like.
I mean, play there for a couple years,
year or two,
and hopefully he gets there sooner than later after he's won a couple titles. If that's what he's searching for. The LeBron thing's interesting because everyone's arguing, oh, he's ruining his legacy. Well, you don't have a real legacy until you've won championships.
Right.
No offense to Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, John Stockton,
Karl
Malone, those 5 guys who would probably make a pretty good team of the 5 best players to never win a title. No offense to them, but you can't have a championship legacy, the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, until you win those titles. So if he wins 1 in Miami, or 2, or 3, or 5, whether it's Miami or another city, and he ends up with however many, 1 to 10, then you can decide, and I can decide, and you guys can decide where to rank him.
Yeah.
But until then, his legacy is he's the most hyped player. He's lived up to it for the most part in terms of fulfilling the prophecy of. I still think he's the most talented basketball player on the planet. I think Kobe Bryant is probably the best.
I would take Kobe Bryant.
See, I think Kobe's the best, but I think LeBron has more raw talent. If you did a combine workout, like you would for the NFL, like those guys do, if you said, okay, let's go through every single drill, and I'm going to measure your strength and your speed and your agility and your shooting and your passing and your court awareness and all that, I think LeBron would win that even over Kobe. But Kobe is the best. He's the most proficient. It's just like Jay Cutler would probably beat Peyton Manning in a combine right now, a combine workout, making all the throws.
Right.
But when it comes to all the other stuff, Peyton Manning is the best quarterback on the planet.
Right.
So, but you name the price, and I'll take that bet.
I will say, what is today? Today is what is May? What is today? April 24th. Is that what we're shooting today?
April 24th.
April 24th. That's today we're shooting. By the time this airs, NBA they'll be in camps and things like that.
April 24th or October 24th?
April 24th. So that's today.
July 24th.
Or July 24th.
I don't know.
What day are we in? I don't even know anymore. Today is July 24th.
No drugs, right?
Exactly. No drugs for me. Today is July 24th, 2010. I'm going to go on record, and I know you're going to disagree. I'm going to say LeBron James will not win a championship in Miami. Not as long as Kobe Bryant is in the league.
Okay, and they may not win it this year. I do like the way the Lakers match up, at least going into the preseason. Lakers get better, adding Matt Barnes, adding Steve Blake. But I think LeBron is going to win a championship in Miami. And
I don't think there's enough.
It may be as early as this year.
I don't think there's enough balls to go around.
Could be 2 years. I think that LeBron will have the ball in his hand plenty, and D-Wade will still be able to get his points.
I don't think
LeBron's scoring may go down a little bit.
The thing about that, though, is I don't think Dwayne Wade will take a back seat. This is Dwayne Wade's team from the beginning.
But you're going to have to double team somebody. So the guy that's not double teaming is going to score, and at some point you're going to have to pick your poison.
Right.
And the players don't exist to double team all those. You need 6 players. Plus the other 2, so you can't double team all them. And if you did, so you're going to have to pick your poison. And if you double and triple LeBron, he's got tremendous court sense, great vision. You'll have easy baskets for Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and the rest of the cast of characters they have there. Plus they added Mike Miller, so he's going to be able to knock down threes. Mario Chalmers, who went to my alma mater, Kansas, will be able to knock down threes. They'll put the right pieces around him. I think you'll be surprised. I mean, I played a lot of basketball in my life. Every time I go and I play with really good players, everybody seems to, for the most part, figure out how to play right. Obviously guys want to put it in the basket.
Right.
But LeBron fancies himself more of a Magic Johnson than a Michael Jordan. So if he sets a single season assist mark, don't be surprised.
Yeah. There you have it. Real quick before we head out to another band clip, I know training camps are about to kick in. Who do you like? Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I'm going to take the hometown Cowboys. I mean,
Cowboys?
I'm a
It's playing.
Cowboys
It's
fan.
playing in Dallas.
It's in Dallas, and I would love nothing more than to watch the Cowboys win it.
I would love. I'd love to see that.
in
I've
our
been a
stadium.
Cowboy fan since I was a little kid. I'd love
No
to see
team's
it.
ever won it in their home stadium. The closest was at Stanford Stadium. The Niners won it in the
Right.
early '80s, so they were
Against
a half
Cincinnati,
hour
right.
from where they played, but it wasn't their home stadium. It would be awesome as a Cowboys fan to see it. I know Broncos fans don't want to hear it, but I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl this year anyway. So
I'll tell you this though. I'm not a Bronco fan either, but I'll tell you this. I love Josh McDaniels.
Okay.
This guy is. Trust me, Bronco fans. You will have a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3, 4 years. I'm telling you. Don't grip so hard. You will have one.
I know he knows football.
Sick.
He knows football.
Oh.
He's smart.
He gets rid of the cancers right
a
away.
little more savvy than people
I love him.
realize, and
That guy's a stud.
and I think he's going to be a good head coach.
Oh,
and
I
hopefully for
agree.
Broncos fans, it's here in Denver.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to take. It's going to be Dallas, Indianapolis in the Super Bowl.
Colts.
Peyton Manning is going to be freaking pissed how they lost last year. I think Indianapolis is going to take her. They're going to beat Dallas in their home stadium. I hate to say that because I've been a Cowboy fan since I was this
It's
high.
kind of a chic pick, but I'm going to take the Cowboys over the Jets. The Jets got pretty close. They've added some interesting pieces. You had LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yep.
Added more help on defense. I like the Jets. Mark Sanchez takes another step in this year. I also think Baltimore will be in the mix too, along with the Colts.
And also, don't count out the Seattle Seahawks either.
I will count them out.
You'll count them out?
They're gonna be-
A lot of huge acquisitions this offseason.
I think Pete Carroll's going to do an okay job, better than he's done in his previous 2 stops, but I don't like Seattle to do much this year. They may win their division because Arizona
Because
is
it's
down.
so weak, yeah.
With
San
everything they
Francisco.
lost, San Francisco's still kind of figuring it out, and they don't have the best
St.
situation
Louis,
at quarterback, and St.
please.
Louis is a joke. So, so I wouldn't be surprised Seattle gets into the playoffs in Pete Carroll's first year, but I don't see them doing much more than that.
I'm not saying they're going to go,
Okay.
but they'll get in the playoffs.
All right.
I think they'll make a playoff run.
I don't have a problem
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. But I think Indianapolis is going to take it this year.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, when you got Peyton Manning, anything's
possible.
possible.
And
that guy's
guy,
awesome.
and that guy, the way he lost that Super Bowl last year to New Orleans, he's going to come out pissed.
Eating at him all off season, and I'm sure it's all he's thinking about. I mean, he's as focused as they come.
He is as good as they get.
And when they come here, and by the time this airs, they may have already come here, but he's great to be around. He's great to watch warm up, great to watch throw. He's just
He's one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet too.
super cool, loves sports, loves TV, like just loves. He is everything you would expect of a superstar, and it's great. Everybody I know that's ever been around him just loves him.
That's why I heard nothing but good things about him either. All right, very cool. Anything else you want to get off before
No,
we
I
kick it
think,
out, and then we'll come back for some captions?
I think I got all of it. It was a little scattered, but I think I covered all the bases.
I think we're
so.
good.
Your monologue was so filled with different points of, irritation that I wanted to cover.
To calm me down a little
Yeah, I
bit.
wanted to at least hit as many of them as I could, so hopefully I did.
Well, you did great. Brandon Krisztal crushed it. Give it up for Brandon Krisztal. All right, very cool, very cool. I wanted to get your take on one last thing before we get into some captions. What is your take on the whole Tiger Woods fiasco?
It's sort of like the Plexico Burress thing or the Barry Bonds thing. He did it to himself, and once he gets past all the personal demons, and everything that goes into just getting his life back together, you'll see him. I think next year he'll have his swing right, he'll have his putter figured out, and I think the 2011 golf season, Tiger's probably just going to tear it up. He'll have all the marital stuff behind him, and I think he's going to fulfill his destiny, which is to beat Jack Nicklaus and probably shatter that 18. I mean, he may get to 30 major championships because he's 34 years old.
Oh yeah.
And with physical fitness being what it is, and technology being what it is, I don't see why he can't win another dozen.
Do you think
majors.
Tiger Woods is juiced? I said he was juiced a few years ago, and said you're crazy.
It doesn't. If you eat right and act right, and you have the right sort of physical makeup, you can get as big as he is. He's not, as big as some of the biggest athletes you've seen. At the same time, a lot of times you hear about recovery with steroids. So maybe to recover, he did.
Right.
I'm not ready to say, and I don't think it matters.
Right.
That he definitely did, like Barry Bonds or someone like that, or Jason Giambi.
Maguire. Or
Somebody like that, where you're like, clearly it affected his performance. I mean,
their head is the size of a watermelon.
The recovery thing is the one thing, because look, there's guys that can go out right now to any golf course in Denver that can outdrive Tiger Woods. And there's guys on tour that can outdrive Tiger Woods. So the steroids in terms of distance, it'd be one thing if he's hitting the ball 400 yards. But,
Right.
I mean, he still has to make a 70-foot shot from the middle of the fairway.
Right.
So being on steroids isn't going to help you there. The
Right.
recovery thing, that's a different deal. But
Cool.
I'm not ready to go out on that limb because I just don't have enough information or speculation to care, I guess.
Right. Cool. Well put. All right. So Mr. Brandon Krisztal, give it up one last time for Brandon. Very cool. He's awesome. 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 All right. Captions. If you have a caption, send them to captions.conezone@gmail.com. If I read your caption on the air, I will send you out an autographed CD, one of my new CDs, open 24/7. My first headline reads. There it is. Here. What? Oh, here we see some one-name soccer player from some shitbag country celebrating winning some cup that nobody cares about. We'll pass these over to you. All right, and moving right along. What? Jennifer Lopez played to a sold-out crowd in the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter gymnasium in New York City earlier this week. The picture got more. All right, and moving right along, here we see the bowl game that the Colorado Buffaloes football team will be playing for again this year. Kind of rough, huh?
Kind of true.
Kind of sad but true. Hosts of the popular TV show The View enjoyed their time broadcasting live from the Arapahoe County Fair. Speaking of, here we go. After numerous subpar golf performances, Tiger Woods is traveling the country pursuing the career he truly loves. Okay, staying on the ESPN theme, the new Stuart Scott Library opened to the public in Bristol, Connecticut this week.
So it's a bit inside. But
I was going to say, 2 people got that? You got to be shitting me. He's got a fake eye, in case you didn't catch the joke. All right. Whatever, huh? Here we go. Oh, you'll like this one. You'll like this one. All right. Former First Lady Laura Bush wasn't exactly greeted with open arms when she arrived at Mrs. Westbrook's 4th grade class this week. And finally, here we see X-rays of another San Francisco, California resident doing the do. I want to thank. Who do I want to thank? I want to thank Enki Clemens. I want to thank Brandon Krisztal. Oh yeah, come on up real quick, one last time. Got to see some ass before we go. What do you say?
no argument here.
Come on up. We got to have these guys up here one more time. Come on up. Come on in. Come on in. All right, you guys want to have them spin one more time before we go? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, go ahead, do it. Just give us a quick spin. Oh God. The perks of the show are a bitch.
I know.
I want to thank you guys for coming out. I want to. Oh yeah. I want to thank you guys for coming out. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you, Mr. Brandon Krisztal, once again. That's the show. We got somebody taking pictures. That's the show. Good night.